Australia, isolated by oceans on all sides. This island continent has provided a unique environment for evolutionary experiments for millions of years. For most of us, the image we have of the Australian outback is that of a desolate place, populated by small and cute pouched mammals such as kangaroos and koalas. The biggest land predator, the dingo, is no larger than the average dog. But Pleistocene Australia 1.5 million years ago was a very different place. The continent teemed with enormous marsupials known as megafauna, which were anything but cute. Imagine a monster kangaroo that towered over 2 meters in height and weighed more than 225 kilograms. The biggest kangaroo that ever lived. Meet Procoptodon. Imagine a 2.5 meter long wombat that weighed more than 2,700 kilograms. Meet Diprotodon. And feasting on these huge creatures, a gigantic meat-eating lizard you wouldn't want to meet, Megalania.
Megalania was one of the greatest predators of all time. It ranks with Tyrannosaurus rex and the great white shark.
This extinct monster would have dwarfed its modern relatives, the monitor lizards, such as the Komodo dragon, the largest lizard alive today.
Megalania was a huge lizard. And when we think of lizards, we think of things the size of a little iguana. But Megalania was a lizard that was bigger than the modern-day Komodo dragon. It was one of the largest terrestrial predators of its time. This is an animal that was muscle and bone. This was a very strong animal. And if you look at the construction of its jaws, it had jaws that could lock around pretty much any one of its prey items. So if it got a hold of something, it wasn't going to let go. I would have been more scared of Megalania than I probably would have been of an African lion.
Monitor lizards are absolute machines. They've got these incredibly tough scales covering their body, where the scales actually have chunks of bone inside of them, and this is particularly the case for Komodo dragon and lace monitor, and therefore Megalania would have been the same.
Scientists estimate that Megalania grew over 6 meters in length and weighed more than 2/3 of a ton. It's clear that this giant lizard was indeed a mega monster. And Megalania has earned Australia an unusual distinction.
Australia is unique that after the age of the dinosaurs, it was the only continent that remained dominated by reptiles. Most of the other continents were dominated by mammals. This could be in part by the fact that not only is Australia very isolated, but it's also very, very hot.
Why did reptiles prevail in this one area when mammals ruled everywhere else? The rise of mammals was the result of a global catastrophe. 65 million years ago, a huge asteroid slammed into Earth, killing off the giant reptiles we know as dinosaurs. With dinosaurs out of the way, mammals evolved into the dominant species. Ultimately, they would rule the planet with one notable exception: Australia. Here, evolution took a different route.
Australia has often been referred to as a natural laboratory because although it's a big place, it's also isolated like a big island. So if something has a chance of experimenting there, it's often going to take place there.